2 days away from Texas, Mississippi State, it's time for our crossover episode with Jaron Spor, the host of Locked On Mississippi State, and it's coming up right after this. Intro.
You are Locked On Longhorns, your daily podcast on the Texas Longhorns. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome in. You were locked on to the Texas Longhorns. I'm your host, BK, Brad Kellner, Texas grad, Austin local, and longtime sports radio host here in the Lone Star State. Thank you for making Locked On Longhorns a part of your day every single day. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. Download the FanDuel app today. Without further ado, my conversation with Locked On Mississippi State's Jaron Spor.
All right, as I was just saying, we're joined by Brad Kellner of Locked On Longhorns as we got a really exciting matchup this weekend between Mississippi State and Texas. Probably wouldn't have thought that before the season started, but now it's definitely an exciting one. What are your thoughts early week?
Yeah, well, Mississippi State's a lot better than they were last year, and I think Texas is probably worse than they were last year. So there was a lot of excitement about the 2024 matchup from a Texas side because it was the Longhorns' first ever SEC game. Texas was number one in the country at the time, and Mississippi State put up a pretty good fight for the first half. Texas kind of pulled away as the game went along. But look, paying attention to this Mississippi State team, doing my research this week, clearly it's a much improved unit. The defense under Coleman Hustler looks night and day better from the group that Texas saw a season ago. And obviously the Longhorns have some questions on offense right now. So you're seeing the FanDuel line hover around 7 to 7.5. Mississippi State's been very good at home. They, I think, should be 2-1 in SEC play right now. And Texas has been playing with its food a little bit as of late. So it may not be the most intriguing matchup on paper in the conference this weekend. But, Jaron, I think this has a chance to be a really good ballgame Saturday afternoon.
Yeah, I do too. I know a lot of Bulldog fans agree with you on the 2-1 in SEC play. But, no, Mississippi State's been a fun team. And as you mentioned, the defense taking the big jump that it had – or has been the best sign for them, because going into the season, they were like 125th in defense last year. So it's like, take a jump, but a jump might even be top 90, and that's a big jump. And they've gone even more than that. And then offensively, though, that's been kind of the surprise, because Jeff Lebby's an offensive guru, so you thought they would take the big jump that the defense has, and they really haven't. And Blake Shapen, there's been a lot of people calling for his job this week, so this would be a good game for him to kind of come out and have a good game. Injuries are kind of a big storyline in this one for both teams, because Michael Taft obviously is going to have surgery, going to miss this game, maybe out for the season. And then Fluff Bothwell, Lebby said he's day-to-day, but didn't really make it sound like he's going to play.
Yeah, no doubt. Michael Taft is a huge loss for Texas. You mentioned it, had surgery on Monday, and doesn't sound like it's season ending, but he's not going to be there this weekend. So, he's an All-American. He's one of the best defensive backs in the country. He's Texas's team leader in tackles this year, and he's kind of the heart and soul of the Longhorn defense. Now, Texas does have a lot of depth at safety. That's one of their best position rooms on the team, and the Texas defense is a heck of a lot stronger than the Texas offense right now. So, Taft's a big loss. They should be able to overcome that. But obviously, Jeff Lebby, y'all love the explosive plays, right? You love sending Brennan Thompson deep and saying, hey, is there anybody you can cover? Anybody you can run with this dude? So not having one of the starting safeties obviously makes Texas a little weaker in that spot. But I do think Texas should be okay there. And obviously, Fluff Bothwell, really good runner. Been very impressed by him. And look, I'm not rooting for an injury or anything like that, but I don't think the Texas defense would be too upset if Bothwell needs another week to recover. So, yeah, big storyline, seeing what the injury reports look like throughout the week. And, obviously Booth is a solid runner, but Bothwell is really talented. So that's definitely a big key to this game too.
Yeah, and as you mentioned, the offense is pretty much all either explosive play or not much, and that's how it was against Florida, especially with Bothwell out. When Bothwell was there, they could actually get the 5, 6, 7-yard gains. So it'll be interesting to see if Shapen's able to bounce back, hit more of those big plays. He was hitting those early in the year against Arizona State. It's a big reason why they won, was because he was hitting the big plays. He was hitting them early against Florida, but then he was also missing some, and the ones that he missed were wide open walk-in touchdowns that you just can't miss. And so it'll be interesting to see if he's able to connect on those. And as you mentioned, not having Taft in the secondary, that should help the Mississippi State defense offense. But Texas defense is one of the best in college football. So we'll see kind of how that matchup goes. And kind of going to the quarterback battle, because Arch Manning, I like Arch Manning. I am a fan, and I understand that he was this high-level recruit, and there's a lot of criticism because he hasn't lived up to what that was. But he kind of just looks like a guy that, one, is young to start at starting, and you can see that, and he's showing his growing pains, understandably so. And on top of that, he's not getting help from the offensive line. He's not getting help from the receiving core because, like last year when he played in this game, he had a pretty good game, but he had an elite offensive line, and he had some elite playmakers around him last year.
Yeah, I mean, Arch Manning was incredible against Mississippi State, and that maybe was the biggest reason why Longhorn fans were so excited about him going into 2025, right? In an SEC game, and I think he was 26 of 31 passing, 325 yards, 2 touchdowns through the air, 1 more on the ground. I mean, he was Texas's best player. He was the best player on the field in that game last year. But you're right, Jaron, it's been an up and down first year as a starter for Arch Manning. And look, the quarterback always gets the most blame. And when your last name is Manning, you multiply that by 100. But you said it. The guys around him haven't been good enough either. This is not to absolve Arch of all of the blame. He's got to be better. But the offensive line is horrible. He's getting pressured on 50% of his dropbacks against Power 4 teams. Like, that's just not sustainable. So I know Mississippi State hasn't been great at getting pressure, great at sacking the opposing quarterback. You Bulldogs fans might enjoy that because there may be some opportunities for y'all's defensive front. But, yeah, just the whole offense as a whole. They're not running it consistently. There's no really elite difference maker on the outside like Texas has had in years past. The tight end position just hasn't been consistent. So it's been just kind of a smorgasbord of problems for Texas on the offensive side of the football. So we'll see. You know, it's weird because 2 weeks ago against Oklahoma, they played maybe their best offensive game of the season, and Texas fans were like, oh, maybe we've turned a corner here. And then last weekend in Lexington, 16-13 overtime, total rock fight. I don't know how Texas won that football game. I know Kentucky fans are ticked. I don't know how they lost that football game. But, yeah, this offense, that's kind of a microcosm of the whole year, Jaron. It's just been up and down. Every time you think you know what you've got with them, they hit you with something different. So we're all kind of in wait-and-see mode to see that matchup of the Texas O against the Bulldog D.
Yeah, and I'm interested to see what kind of game plan Sarkisian comes up with because I think that will help him a lot. One reason why I think they had so much success against Oklahoma was I thought Sark called a beautiful game and had a beautiful game plan. Basically, he said OU's defense line isn't going to control this game, and we're going to throw a lot of quick stuff. We're going to not make Arch Manning have to hold on to the ball very long. He's not going to have to make tough decisions, and it worked out really well. But I feel like that was really the only game they've done that kind of approach, and maybe they should do it more often because it worked really well. And then as for Shapen, you know, I say this I feel like every week we do these crossovers, but he's a solid college quarterback. He's not a great college quarterback. He's not going to be a pro guy. He's just a solid quarterback. Now, he's been making some mistakes that you don't want your 6-year senior to make. And really, that's why the criticism of him and should he be the starter moving forward has come out, because if you're not as talented as the freshman, the one advantage you have is your experience and not making the freshman mistakes. But if you're making the freshman mistakes, you might as well go with the freshman, especially with these being more talented. Which Levy did use Taylor a lot more this past week, especially in the running game. They even had him in on 4 straight plays and said he even wanted to have him in more. So I wonder if that becomes more of the game plan. And does he finally set up the Taylor's in, but he's actually going to throw the football, because we haven't really seen that yet.
All right, the rest of our Texas-Mississippi State game preview, including score predictions, coming up right after this on Locked On Longhorns. But first, a word for our friends at Mazda. Mazda crafts cars for those who do more than simply move. Mazda delivers confidence with every ride. They've got more IIHS top safety pick awards than anybody else. From footwork to breathwork, athletes sweat all the details. Mazda brings the same intention with how they craft every model. You can feel the Japanese craftsmanship in every detail, from the metallic accents to the available Napa leather upholstery, and you can make everyday drives feel like anything but. From smooth handling to intuitive controls, and all-wheel drive is standard in every crossover SUV, so you can drive with confidence through almost any season. Like our players, Mazda sweats every detail, because when you make every move count, impossible becomes irrelevant. It's Mazda. Move and be moved. And also a shout out to our friends at Quo. One of the tools that can help make a huge difference for business owners is Quo, formerly Open Phone. It's the same great business phone system that you've heard me talk about before, just with a new name. And here's why it matters. Every missed call is money left on the table. When every customer conversation counts, you need a phone system that's going to keep you connected 24/7. Quo is the #1 business phone system that streamlines customer communications. It works right through an app on your phone or computer, so no more carrying 2 phones or relying on an old landline. Whether you're a solo operator juggling a bunch of different things, or if you're part of a larger team, Quo makes it super easy to stay responsive and professional wherever you are. See why more than 90,000 businesses trust Quo, formerly Open Phone. Get started free and get 20% off your first 6 months at quo.com/lockedoncollege. Again, quo.com/lockedoncollege. You can even keep your existing number for free. It's Quo. No missed calls, no missed customers. All right, here is the rest of my conversation with Jaron Spor of Locked On Mississippi State. Yeah, I was going to ask, what's Mississippi State fans' confidence in Blake Shapen right now? I mean, Texas didn't see him in the game last year, but Texas played against Blake Shapen when he was at Baylor. So Longhorn fans are pretty familiar with him. And it feels like there's a ceiling. Like the floor, I think, is pretty high, but the ceiling is not much higher than the floor. And he's just kind of been in the same spot for 4 years. Like, is he good enough to beat Texas or not so much?
I think if you see the guy that came against Arizona State, if that guy plays, I think he's good enough to beat Texas. And his completion percentage wasn't great in that game, but it felt like he did not miss the deep ball in that game. Like he might have missed some of the easier stuff, but the deep ball he was hitting every time, and that's why they were able to have those big chunk plays, explosive. The game-winning touchdown was a big explosive play. Whereas against Florida, that was the first time he had really been hitting the deep ball since that game, but he also missed on 3 or 4 wide open ones as well. And so that's been kind of the frustrating thing with him, because we saw early in the year when he's connecting on those, and even all the way back to the first game against Southern Miss, his first pass play, I believe, was like a 50-yard strike that he threw perfect. And so it's just weird because early in the year he was hitting it so consistently and doing so well. And then as the season goes on, he's not hitting it as much. And he's really missing it bad, because if you got a guy wide open, miss him short. Don't miss him long, because if you miss him short, he at least can make a play on it. But if you miss him long, he's got no chance.
Yeah, that's the thing too. This Texas defense is so good that it's really tough to string 7, 8, 9, 10 play drives against them. So when you get those opportunities at those explosives, I mean, this is kind of the case for any underdog team, but especially I think in this matchup, when those chances arise and you've got Brennan Thompson open deep down the field, or Anthony Evans, like anybody, you better hit him. Because again, it's tough pickings if you're going to try to be manufacturing long drives against this Texas defense, because they don't allow too many of those.
Well, and that's the case in the SEC as a whole. The defenses are so good that it's rare you get that opportunity to hit that big play. So when it's there, you better hit it, because if you don't, you're not going to probably get another chance at hitting it. But so what are you feeling on the game? What's your game pick?
Yeah, it's interesting, right? Like I actually feel better about this game from a Texas standpoint than I did about the Kentucky game. Like I had Texas beating Kentucky by a touchdown. The Vegas line was like 13, and I just had a hunch it was going to be ugly and nasty and sloppy. I didn't think it'd be that ugly, that nasty, or that sloppy.
Right.
But I was worried about that. The one thing that concerns me about this game, Jaron, Texas has not played a game in Austin since September 20th.
Wow.
Like it's been 3 road games and the Oklahoma game in the month of October. Right. So are they tired from all of the travel? Is that finally going to catch up to them? I'm picking Texas in this game. I'm picking Texas by 10. I'm at 27-17 right now. Probably a foolish thought, but I think Sark's going to dial up something to get this offense going a little bit. And again, with the question marks with Mississippi State, not knowing if Bothwell's going to play, this Texas defense being really good, I think Texas can keep Mississippi State in the teens. So I'll go with a 10-point Longhorn victory here on a Thursday morning. What say you?
I feel a little more confident than you on Texas, ironically, because I think Texas is going to win 31-13. And the reason why is because the way to get after Texas is to get after their offensive line. And that's Mississippi State's weakness on defense. They're not a very good defensive line team. They don't get a lot of TFLs. They don't get a lot of sacks. Now, their secondary has played really well, and it's really good. Isaac Smith, Jaron Manning, Kelly Jones, all these guys have played really good in the secondary, but the defensive line, you can push them around and get some run game going. And we see when Texas is able to do that, it opens up so much more for them, as it does a lot of teams. And then defensively, unless Shapen's hitting the deep ball, which I just don't have confidence in right now, they're not going to be able to do much against Texas's defense, I don't think, because I just have that much respect for Texas's defense. I think the Florida game was kind of a fluke. I think it was one of those things that, hey, sometimes it happens. They get you off balance early and you just can't ever recover. The Wilson kid was like Megatron out there with some of the plays he was making. Like, some of that stuff just happens. It's just fluky. And, you know, coming into the year, I wasn't as high on Texas as a lot of people were that had them number one, because my biggest issue was a lot of people that weren't high on Ohio State was because, oh, look at all they lost. And it's like, well, Texas lost the same amount basically, but you're really high on them. So I didn't like the contradictoriness, but I will say I still thought they were going to be a playoff team. I still thought they're an SEC championship type team. And I still think that team has to show up at some point this year.
Yeah, you know, on defense and special teams, I think that team has been there.
Yeah.
But offensively, I mean, Texas, you know, the Longhorns have played 4 games against Power 4 teams this year, and they're averaging 17 points per game. Like, that's just, it almost doesn't matter how good your defense is. That is not a sustainable way to go about competing in the best conference in college football. So I will say this, man, I think a high school defensive line could give this Texas O-line problems right now. So as long as y'all's group is better than that, like that's every Texas fan's fear. You're right. The sack numbers, the TFL numbers, the pressure analytics, not great for Mississippi State. But I'm telling you, man, if this Texas offensive line plays the way that it has played more often than not, Texas got pushed around by UTEP, Jaron.
Right.
So Mississippi State's got better athletes than that. So if this Texas offensive line doesn't figure something out, this could be a matchup that may be a little closer than you're thinking right now.
Yeah, and the 1 year that Lebby had a full healthy offense at Oklahoma, they did have success against Texas. So maybe his offense can give them some fits. I just think their defense is so good. I just don't see Mississippi State scoring a whole lot of points. Hopefully I'm wrong. And hopefully, Mississippi State fans' sake, I'm wrong.
Hopefully you're not, but I'm a little biased. Can you tell by the hat I'm wearing?
I get it. Well, thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, this was fun, Jaron. Appreciate you, man.
Yeah, no problem.
All right, Jaron and I both picking Texas to win by double digits in Starkville this weekend. What say you? Comment below with your score predictions for Saturday's game. That's going to do it for today's episode. If you made it this far, God bless you. Please remember to like, share, subscribe, leave a comment, all of those great things. Can't thank y'all enough for your continued support of Locked On Longhorns. For your next listen, check out Locked On Bets. My man Lee Sterling and Kevin Rogers have you covered with all of your sports betting needs, expert analysis, game picks, the lock of the day, you name it, they've got it. Find Locked On Bets on YouTube or wherever you listen to your podcast. More Texas-Mississippi State game preview, more sound from Steve Sarkisian, and plenty more preview of this Saturday's matchup coming up on tomorrow's show. But that'll do it for this time. Thanks so much for tuning in. Until next time, horns up, mics off. We'll see y'all soon. This is Locked On Longhorns.